Planning Commission call to order. Please rise for invocation, pledge allegiance. Heavenly Father, we come to you today and thank you for this glorious day you've given us. Father, we just ask that you guide our minds and bless us to make all the decisions necessary for this committee to benefit all the parish. Father, we ask that you keep us safe in our journey home. All these things we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Follow me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call for any additions and deletions to the agenda. Have a couple I would like to mention. On number 1, Promised Land Unit 2B, final approval. I'm sorry. Number 2, is it Promenade? Promenade,
Yes.
Promenade at Davelin Park, preliminary approval, Unit 1. Second addition will be item 4. Discuss the possibility of changing the time of our planning commission meetings. It's just going to be a discussion. All right. Take a vote on both of those. Mr. Davlin?
Sir.
Yay or nay?
Yay. Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay.
Motion passed. Any guest and public comments on anything on the agenda this evening? Move on to approval of minutes, 9/12/2024. See if everyone has a copy of that. Ask for a motion.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Mr. James, and second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Tyler. Mr. Devlin? Okay,
Yeah. Yay.
yeah,
Yay.
Yeah.
motion passed. You have a staff report this evening?
None at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Tom. We'll move on to new business. Promised Land, Unit 2B, final approval. Can I get a motion for discussion?
Was that discussed at the last,
Sir?
was that discussed at the last,
I believe there was a couple slight modifications, so if they could get a motion in a second.
I know I wasn't here, but I did talk to Tyler, and he stated that there was some discussion about the approval upon Mr. Thorpe's ability to meet the standards.
Yes, but there was something else, so I have a motion
Okay.
by Mr. Devlin,
Second.
second by Mr. James. Tom, you want to share?
Yes, Unit 2B is actually a replat of Unit 2A that this body had approved. The changes that were made between 2A and 2B, the roads were built not in accordance with the designed road geometry by the engineer. Thus, the ditches that were pulled deviated outside the right-of-way and onto private property. And so as a matter of, as a way to rectify that, they went from a 60-foot road right-of-way to an 80-foot road right-of-way. And now all the ditches in the entire roadway is encompassed within the road right-of-way. And they're dedicating that entire full 80-foot strip to us once the parish police jury approves. Another thing that they did was, as the entrance off of Jesse Latin, as it went westerly towards an oil and gas pad, the road was a little jagged, and again, there were problems with the ditch not being within the right of way. So they redesigned that to where it now conforms to all improvements. There is a portion of the road right-of-way that was approved and accepted by this body that they wish to abandon. However, since that never really went to the police jury, we don't see the need to abandon that.
Would you explain that to everyone looking at the drawing plat
Yes.
at lot 3?
So it's as the road travels between lots 2 and 3 of Unit 1, they redid the geometry to where now the entire ditch and road fit within that right of way. And south of lot 1001, the right of way there used to be almost at a 90-degree, maybe even more than a 90-degree turn. So they did a more comfortable curve through there and still encompassed the ditches within the right of way. And the part that they're going to eventually get ownership of again would be that south portion of lot 3 that's crosshatched and says right of way to be abandoned. Now, staff recommends approval of this unit under 2 contingencies, one of which a 2-year maintenance bond be posted at the proper percentage, and the signs that were put up were not standard MUTCD signs, nor were they standard DeSoto Parish signs. So we're asking that those be replaced with our standard sign and color signs. So with those 2 contingencies, we recommend approval.
So we want to have an alternate motion, I guess, based on those 2 contingencies. They replaced the signs to the MUTCD.
And
Tom, did you say that the road was not built to y'all standards?
the road was not built within the engineered design width of the right of way because they tried to utilize an existing road base that was already there. And the engineer's geometry did not conform to the as-built of the old road bed that was in place. But the street itself was built to our standards as far as width and thickness and base, etc.
So there was two contingencies, signs and what?
That they post a maintenance bond, 2-year maintenance bond.
And correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Tom, but just, we're all clear on where the status of this is. The first plat has already been recorded at the courthouse. We approved this unit, previously. The signs were missed at that time. And then we found out about the misalignment at a later date also. So it's important that we get this plat recorded before, these lots are sold and so forth like that. So there's less, every owner has to sign this plat now. There's a few lots that have already been sold at this time. So we'll go ahead and if the process, the way I see it, we'll record this plat to get this correction made. But as far as, we'll still get Mr. Tharp to make those corrections to the site.
Before the maintenance bond is accepted.
And we need the maintenance bond as soon as possible, yeah.
Because there's no need for alternate motion. Is that what you're saying?
I was just, for the record, just making sure everybody's on the same page where everything's sitting at right now. But there has been a plat previously recorded, and this is
Right, and
plat A, this is plat B that'll correct that.
And this plat would supersede Unit 2A.
What we needed,
You need a motion on contingency?
is that acceptable, or you want to make an alternate motion?
Or did Brian? Did you make an alternate motion? Yeah. Brian already
for
did.
discussion, right?
No, we made a motion for discussion.
Yeah.
Do we want to make an alternate motion to approve based on the contingencies?
Of what the parish needs, yeah.
Make a motion on approval of the plat, and then, we can just note that the final punch list items still need to be completed, the signs and the maintenance bond, I'm sorry, I was drawing a blank.
I'm good with that. All right. If there's any more discussion? Call for a vote. Mr. Davlin?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't here and I don't want to vote, since I'm not there familiar with it.
Do we have enough to carry? Okay. Thank you.
And honestly, with the maintenance bond, there is a slim possibility we might have already received something. That came up as a discussion point about 30 minutes ago, and we didn't, as staff, didn't get to go back and verify if we received that yet or not. We might already have that bond, but I'm not certain. I doubt it.
And the subdivision regulations, and I apologize for my absence, recently, but, what was the decision? Did we change that, the maintenance bond, or the percentage?
Maintenance bond would be 25%,
Okay,
yeah,
but
for
what's
a
that?
2-year period.
Construction cost.
25%
Of
of
the
the
construction
construction
cost.
cost.
25% of the construction cost at a 2-year period? I guess I don't remember that part. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got 2 years to do the 20, up to,
Well,
He's
it's-
responsible for
Yeah.
2 years.
He's
Mate.
responsible for 2 years
the
before.
owner?
Right.
Okay, all right. Thank
So-
you for helping
Sure.
jog my memory.
So
Okay.
motion carried on item 1. Item 2, the promenade at Davlin Park, preliminary approval, Unit 1. Have a motion for discussion.
I'll motion.
Have a motion, and I'll second. Have a motion and a second. Good evening, gentlemen. If you would, introduce yourself.
I'm Stephen Proct. I'm with the Promenade at Davlin Park.
Hey there, Jonathan Ratliff, Rayleigh and Associates, 4913 Shed Road. I'm the project engineer on this.
Thank you, gentlemen. Y'all have some comments you want to share on this?
So-
Somebody have some questions?
Yeah, just some background on this project. We have Davlin Park Extension. That is the roadway that's coming in off of Marketplace Chevy. That has been approved by DOTD. That has been looked at in both their hydraulics and roadway division. They have issued that permit to us. LDH approval is imminent on that. We are sending those back to them right now. We just received everything that we need to finish LDH approval for Davlin Park Unit 1, being our Gaines wastewater treatment plant. If y'all have any questions on that, I'd be more than happy to answer those for you. And yes, that will also be looked at by DOTD as well, the entire subdivision. So this is 47 lots, correct?
That's right.
Yep.
So you're saying it's in phases?
Yes, this project, we've got the extension roadway, that's gonna be we'll call that phase 1A of this. Unit 1, that's the plat that y'all probably have in the master plan, if y'all have seen it. We'll call that phase 1B of this project. That's gonna be the 47 lots, the construction of the wastewater treatment plant, and the construction of the detention pond on the east side of the property line.
That'll be behind Marketplace. So to speak.
Yes, and we will absorb their detained drainage. They have a pipe that outfalls to the back side of that right now that kind of goes underneath the fence, and they just let it go into the slough that runs off into the DOTD right-of-way. My drainage that I designed for this will receive that, and that has, again, been looked at by DOTD, so.
And there's permits required, approved.
Yeah, so for the roadway extension, DOTD has already issued that permit with the concession that we will submit a separate permit for Davlin Park Unit 1 as well. That way, they didn't get too bogged down into looking at in the weeds with a lot of stuff. Keep it closer to the turn lane going in, the roadway, and then let them look at Unit 1 as well. But the drainage impact study that we performed for this does look at the subdivision in its entirety. That has been reviewed by DOTD to issue us the permit for the roadway extension in the front.
So the roadway extension in the front, that's in the corporate limits of town.
Yes, yes.
Have y'all discussed with the city, what's gonna be required from them as far as that roadway and so forth?
No.
I reached out to the clerk this morning, just viewing with her if she had any record or any discussion, and she said she would like, most likely the planning commission in Stonewall would like to review the road.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and DOTD did review that. The only comment they issued on the roadway for us is that within the DOTD right-of-way, they wanted to see 5 inches of asphalt instead of the 4 that we have for the roadway extension. I got a 2-inch wearing base course, 2-inch wearing course. They wanted 5 inches, so within their right-of-way limits of the turn lane piece, that will be a 5-inch thick section on top of, my plans are over there, but I think it's a rock and soil cement, so.
So it actually won't tie into 3276, it'll tie in.
It will tie in, yes. So we'll be doing traffic striping. They'll have that turn lane restriped. We will be cutting not all the way down into where 3276 meets. We'll leave some of that roadway, and then we're gonna cut out some other section. I have those plans with me. If you don't have those plans, I can show you that.
Well, it was basically a question, 'cause that part is in the town, so I mean, we don't have any jurisdiction. Have you got all your DOTD permits?
Yes,
So,
yes.
Mr. Roster, I believe you had some other questions?
I just wanted to ask, lots 104, 103, 101, and 102, can you explain the use of those lots or the intent of those lots?
Oh, you're talking about the 1,000?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, 1004,
1004.
1003, 1001, 1002.
These are just general lots. I mean, do y'all have a plan on any of that? I mean, these are these little side green space lots that really don't serve much of a purpose.
Yeah. 103, for example, nationally, you cannot use individual mailboxes anymore, so we have to have somewhere to put mailbox cluster units, so I would imagine that would be a good spot for something like that, where it's not in someone's front yard or side yard or anything like that.
And I can add to that, so those are beautification that'll be kept up as like tree line along the outside of that to separate, just give a space between the roadway, the boulevard, and the residential side, you know, and so the expectation is that there would be a sidewalk going down. The promenade, what promenade means is the ability to walk to different things, and that's what we're trying to create there, is the walkability to anything that would be added there. So going down the boulevard would be tree lined, that's the intention as that continues to be developed. Where's the other one right here?
These little 5-foot strips.
Okay, so the 5-foot strip, and this is just, it just is what it is. That's an expensive boulevard to put in. It's a commercial boulevard for commercial traffic. We approached Marketplace Chevrolet about, they own the 3.5 acres right there that border that, and that's a long stretch of frontage for them. We approached them about, sharing cost on that boulevard that touches their property. They said that they had no intention of sharing cost on that. And that, let's just face it, there's 300 or 400 feet there. It's gonna significantly increase their property value. And so our intention there, just being completely honest, if we're gonna pay for the entire road, we're not gonna benefit their property if they're not even willing to help. They didn't even wanna talk about it. They didn't ask how much. They didn't say anything of the nature. They said, we're just not interested. And so, I'm gonna be honest with you, my intention is to put up a fence right there. If they wanna help pay, then for the increased value of that commercial property, then we'd be happy to,
Almost a control of access. then.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's control of access.
Okay.
And that's just being, look, I could tell you a whole bunch of different things, but that's the honest to God truth.
Okay.
They didn't even wanna talk about it. They didn't wanna have the discussion. They said, we're not interested. They assumed that we were gonna put it in. So what's tied to that property, they bought the 3.5 acres before we bought the 97. When they signed that, the only thing that can go right there where that boulevard is a roadway. Now, we're not forced to put the roadway there, but no other, what's tied to the title of that property is no other structure can be built there other than a roadway. But it doesn't say anything about we have to build a roadway there, so when they didn't, and look, they've been nice neighbors, they've checked on us and stuff like that. They just point blank, didn't wanna have the discussion, said we're not interested in helping with the cost of that. So we're gonna retain a 5-foot section there, and as long as they hold to that, we're gonna put up a fence so that they don't gain, much value on their property. So that's what it's there for.
In my many years of working for developers, that is a common thing. However, I've seen strips as wide as 1 foot.
Yeah.
So it is something,
We
it
just-
is a common thing.
Again, we want it to be beautiful when you come in, so that 5-foot gives us some room to do some beautification type stuff. But, and it's control of access on that strip. So, we would be happy to, and I'm hoping they come back and change tune as they see what's going on and wanna help participate, but at this time, that's a very expensive roadway to put in. Anytime you just put in a roadway and you're not selling anything on either side, that's a loss in the development world.
The servitudes that you have coming off Emma's Way for sewer and water, does that need to extend across 104? Is there any need to extend that servitude?
What are you talking about?
Right off the Emma Ways cul-de-sac, you have the water and the sewer, and it stops right at the 104 lot instead of going all the way to the road right of way.
Yeah,
Do you think that's a need to go all the way to the road right of way?
I don't know if that's necessarily a need to bring it, because it is gonna be within that right of way in essence. I mean, I don't know if it would hurt to extend the servitude. I mean, I don't think it would be detrimental to extend it.
Well, we're hearing the intent of that lot, it probably, don't amount to much, but, that's just something we noticed earlier today that
Or not.
there's kind of a gap in there between the dedicated right of way and the dedicated servitude and so forth.
Yeah, and what that plat doesn't describe too is the fact that through that drainage easement,
Our road's not right. Oh, sorry, guys. The road doesn't go down that far right now.
yes, not right now. No, that is a future phase roadway. Right now, that will be temporary ditching that will run into our detention pond. So the full build-out design has,
Y'all are moving a little too
That lot 39, those easements that are each side of lot 39?
That one, right there? Okay, between 38 and 39?
Yeah.
And that's the drainage servitude, not the,
There is one that is they're both utilities. One is gonna be for the sewer line, one is gonna be for drainage pipe. Yes, because the way the slopes kind of work out over there, you know, it's super hilly over there. MOA runs down and then runs down towards the cul-de-sac. So we've got to run a pipe through that. We have that utility servitude there for that.
it runs down on both sides? I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, so
Like, is that what you mean when it runs down?
So what the way the flow works is that off of Jack's Drive, it's going to be going towards the north. So that's going to be headed toward, yep.
Okay.
And then it's going to veer off and go down Emma's Way. Some of it will, not everything. Everything on the left, it's a single crown, so everything on the left side is going to keep on going. The right side is going to turn into that cul-de-sac. With that design, we have to have a pipe that runs down there so we can get it to the detention pond. So we have that running through that servitude on the north side of 39.
And the detention pond is over there to the northwest?
So we have two detention ponds. We have one to the east. We have one to the northwest.
Where's the one on the east? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Here, I will hand you this plan and you can see.
It's not on this
It's
one.
not on here? What, we
You
can-
got your-
No, that's just the plat. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the master plan's been filed,
These are construction drawings.
Yeah, so just so you can see, just to clarify.
I know, I'm sorry. She doesn't, I'm sorry.
Look, that's why I bring all my plans with me. So, yeah, absolutely. So the east pond, this is gonna be the detention pond right here.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
So here's lot
Okay.
39. Okay, so we're gonna have a drainage pipe that's gonna be running through here into a temporary ditch for now. That's another temporary ditch there that's gonna be capturing Boulevard Extension. Okay, so this already exists out there today. We are just trying to use natural contours to create something that's a little unique, abstract, you know, not just a typical kind of rectangular pond, if you will.
That's the detention pond to the east. Okay.
And like I described earlier, that was run through the hydraulics division of
Making sure you
DOTD,
understood.
so. And just to give everybody the warm and fuzzy, that does retain and discharge flows less than the pre-developed and all design storms, so up to the 100-year as well, so.
Back to that,
But it's folded over.
back to the item that Mr. Rice brought up.
Looked like a blank page. Brian, I didn't have that in my book.
Note 5 indicates that strip of land is going to be privately owned. If the parish is going to inherit all sewer and drainage servitudes, I feel that servitude should be extended until it hits the public road right away. Y'all.
You said something about, Tom, you said something about the parish taking the sewer over?
The servitude,
I believe he's talking about the 5-foot strip that we were talking about earlier, correct?
and the servitude for the drainage.
The 5-foot strip for access?
I mean, you're almost treating that lot 104 as public access, so it seems like small potatoes, but I guess just legality, just to make sure there's no, it's lot 104 here. You know, just to make sure that there's access, you know, from the road right of way to the servitude.
Yeah, and that actually would probably be similar to like an HOA ownership.
Okay.
I mean, unless the parish is gonna pay for the beautification process and keeping up the trees.
We were just, you know,
So the only time that the parish would take that over is if the HOA would not take it over.
That's
The
what
whole
we-
point of it is beautification.
we were just talking about, do we need to extend those lines like that?
Oh, yeah, so that's just a servitude.
Those blue lines right there,
But
do you
you
need to extend
guys-
those blue lines, you know? But
You guys typically don't own the servitude. Servitude is just the ability to get onto it, right?
If
Because a
we're-
lot of times a utility servitude is inside somebody's property, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so y'all don't own that property, you just own the ability
right.
To
to
maintain.
maintain it,
Correct.
yeah.
And that's all we're saying, is the
Yeah.
ability to maintain that little strip right there. Do we want to extend that line another 5,
Yeah,
6
that's-
feet? You know, that's all it was.
And I think
Yeah.
that, but that's not on the current plans.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be for now.
I mean, this is the
Yeah,
current
definitely.
plat.
No, no, I definitely, because it's got a
Oh,
construction.
yeah, no, yeah, no, I'm
Yeah,
not.
so that's all it was, just do those lines need to go 5 feet more, or 10 feet more, or whatever that is, right?
And they probably will in the next set of plans, right?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Probably know this way better than I do.
Just so everybody understands, it is all underground drainage. These are curb and, gutter, catch basins, all.
It should be that one.
Are there any,
Is that correct? Everything's gonna be curb?
Yes, yeah, all subsurface, all curb and gutter. The hydraulics don't work out great with ditches over there. It's pretty steep in that area with the hills. I believed that it was gonna be detrimental to try to run curb and gutter, open ditch, when I looked at the hydraulics of everything, especially including the commercial in the front. You start getting a lot of water that runs down there towards that pond, and that was gonna be something that I could not get to work. You know, I love to keep it simple and do ditching if I can, but subsurface drainage is gonna promote,
Okay.
prosperity within this development
Yep.
and keep everything nice.
Should be.
Okay.
so I've seen this master, and what I'm saying, the front part would be commercial and eventually, and
Maybe, but, you know,
not set in stone, but
right, yeah,
designed.
it's really up in the air, but I will say that whatever happens up there, we'll have to go back to DOTD for permitting, because our DOTD permit is only for this residential unit, so, you know, you shouldn't have to worry about what
Right.
we're gonna do there, because we're gonna have to go back to DOTD and to you guys for any
Well, that's what I'm saying, that part is in the town, but
Right.
what I was leading up to is,
in the parish, though.
Okay.
these are all with nice sidewalks, are there,
Okay.
as a part of, what is it, safe passage to public places, is there any bike lanes or any design for bike paths or in here?
Currently, there is no bike paths or anything in
Everybody will
this
use
design.
the sidewalk?
Yes, that's correct.
And
Now, the
what-
boulevard's
Safe.
gonna have a sidewalk,
is
is that?
Yeah, I think you had it right.
I didn't say it right, I know that's, safe passage of public places, I think.
There you go. That's a mouthful.
I was trying to get it out.
And was the parking, wasn't there designating parking? Did you talk about that before?
So, yeah, that's in some of the other, like,
Right.
on I-49 and some of the other commercial areas.
Okay.
There'd be some of that, yes, ma'am.
So, will y'all be roughly designing or putting all the base of these roads in, or are you just gonna do unit by unit as
It's
far as construction?
unit by construction, yeah, because there's, think like a total original master plan of like 179 lots, I want to say. So this thing could be broken up into a lot of units. And it would be particularly difficult to try to do this in a conglomerate, giant piece, only because the construction side of this is so intricate by unit. With all the hills out there and everything like that. This being unit one is one that we looked at in a way that we could say, okay, this is constructible right now without basically having to do a giant swath of this thing. And so that was kind of the approach in that. Is there anything else you'd like to speak on that?
We're trying to get some money back.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah,
putting
but
it-
that's true
Understand.
too.
I get
without
it.
going-
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
without going broke.
Yeah,
That's the name of the game.
it's a dollar figure.
So all this just gonna be single-family homes, or is it gonna be?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
assuming that, yeah.
No townhouses, apartments?
What's the concept behind each of the, I call them the dead-end streets, you have the promenade, the carrier's court, and so forth. You have 2 lots and then a dead-end street. Was there any design criteria in that for the, basically, my concern is a turnaround space and so forth like that. By having that only 2 lots deep, was there any design criteria of you're able to back out to the intersection and turn around or anything
Well,
of that nature?
It's tough to gauge how somebody's gonna put their driveway within that 60-foot. If they're gonna put it on the left side, we do have some temporary gravel turnarounds right now. Those eventually plans out to be full cul-de-sacs. Kara's Court is gonna be a cul-de-sac.
Okay.
Promenade Avenue will run all the way
Right.
down. We do have some temporary gravel turnarounds in there, but, you know, we're open ears.
Well,
Michael, so.
y'all do so much business in the area. We're confident that you'll move forward with future units, but, you know, as we approve these things one by one, we have to plan for the worst case scenario, that this is the only unit you'll build, you know, and there won't be a future unit. So in that case, what can you say to assure us that we'll be okay with these, so many dead-end streets and so forth? But
In the past, I've been required by the parish, before y'all took the roads, when there's a dead end, we had to put stop bars, and y'all required that we did a turnaround for the school bus. The school bus didn't actually use it. They stopped at the front of the neighborhood, but we did put $18,000 worth of rock there for them.
Where's it at? I'll go get it.
So we can put stop bars there, and temporary turnarounds.
Only if we don't move forward on the
But
next
that was a contingency on them taking the road. It wasn't a contingency on them approving the plat.
yeah, I was just kind of trying to think outside the box there, and maybe there was an intent behind only being 2 lots deep on each one of those roads that, you know, you gauge where they can back up that far or something like that, you know?
The intent
But,
was right past that,
okay.
and start dropping off, and that's where we gotta start spending a lot of money.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And the topography out there is not great. I don't know if y'all are aware of that, but that piece of land is extremely hilly. And so we try to get as many lots as we could in without overdoing it on the earthwork, knowing that if we can offset some of the debt with some of the income, then we can use that to do earthwork moving forward. And so just getting those two turned down was where it kind of, everything past that was fixing to start costing a lot of money.
Is that what this is for? The geotechnical consulting?
That's just where they signed, that's just a proposal of where they're gonna test the road beds equally.
For the roads?
Yes.
Okay, so that doesn't
So
have to
they
do.
know how to build the roads and what's
Yeah.
there.
So they'll come out and do core samples and to make sure that the design of the road meets the soil samples that are there and taken.
And which is kind of what we're talking about, right?
No, we're talking about more,
Topography.
topography meaning hills and valleys and
Okay.
having to fill those in, so to make it a buildable site.
Yeah, that report would be more to verify that the 6 inches of concrete or the 8 inches of base and so forth is sufficient. Yeah.
Okay.
The standard, correct me if I'm wrong, the standard in DeSoto Parish is 12 to 15 inches of soil cement with 2-inch asphalt overlay.
Okay.
And this will tell us if the soil in that area is acceptable to that design, or if we need to do more than based on the soil content.
Okay. I thought that's what this was. I couldn't say it like that.
Yeah, no, that's right.
But that's different than what you're talking about of that value
Yeah,
of the land.
yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And
We don't
those,
want it to look like San Francisco where you're going up a hill and there's, you know.
and that's some of the stuff that the engineering office still has to work with Lighthouse on, is getting those reports in and getting some of the other construction documents finished up. And I think we can address these turnaround issues at that time too, through the construction documents if needed, you know. If something happens and it don't look like you'll be building anything in the next 10 years, we'll address some of these dead ends at that point in time. But
Yeah, and the geotech should be out here. If he wasn't out here already, he said he was gonna try to get out here middle of Wednesday, you know, today. I don't know what his schedule is, but that is imminently coming, so.
So during construction or during the development of this phase, probably safe for delineation to be put at the end of those roads if there ain't no turnaround.
he has in the construction plan signs for those locations right now.
Yes.
We're getting a little bit ahead of the horse. Didn't understand, somebody said, is the road, was that Buchanan? It's not going all the way down to the back of Unit 1?
Not at this time, no.
Where's it stopping right past
It's-
JR's?
Yeah, so we'll build that intersection at JR Drive, and then we will have temporary ditching along Buchanan. There will be some earthwork right there because it starts to really drop down. So we're gonna have to do some earthwork there, but at this time, the only intention is to do the JR Drive and Boulevard T intersection right there, and then build a gravel drive to get to the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
Outside of that, it would be just earthwork.
Last question I had was future maintenance of the detention pond. Will the homeowners association be keeping that, or what will happen to the detention pond in the future?
The detention pond itself?
Right.
Well, I mean, that would by default be an HOA deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making, I didn't know how that would be situated. I didn't read all the covenants and so forth
And
yet.
it may be a deal that, based on its location, that, the owner of that commercial side over there, if they take ownership of it,
Pretty
they
sure
would be
that these
responsible
are not mentioned.
as well.
But we will be,
Yeah.
go ahead.
The intent is that it's not a dry pond, so, a dry pond is similar to what was designed for pier landing. Meaning that the water comes in, the water flows out, and it's dry when it's not wet. This will be a wet retainage pond, meaning that it's gonna hold water at a certain level, water's gonna come in, it's gonna hold what it need to hold, and then it's gonna release. But on an average given day, it's gonna have water in it from a beautification standpoint. So,
Is it gonna, smell?
no, this would just be runoff water, it won't be.
Just storm water.
It'll just be a big
Rainwater.
pond.
And it'll be about 10 feet deep, which is deep enough to keep that kind of wetland, like mossy undergrowth from starting to grow.
Like 10 feet underground is what you mean when
No,
you say
the
10?
retainage of the water depth itself. So the retention itself will be the beautification pond portion. So that'll be about 10 feet deep. So you'll have that giant area you looked at, 10 feet of that, of depth will be all filled with water at all times. And then when we receive storm flows that come in there, it'll flow out of the weir, but it'll always stay at least 10 feet deep, so.
And, is that, give me just a minute, this
Absolutely.
flooding, I'm just flooding, and the pipe service right-of-way servitude right here on 3839, you were talking about it was gonna go down the street under,
That's sewer pipes that's going into the sewer system. So that connects directly to the sewer system. The servitude,
right,
it's not going into that
drainage pond,
retention pond.
retention pond.
Let me parse the question a little bit. You're talking about flooding right now, right? So this was designed and approved by the Hydraulics Division of DOTD. It looks at design storms all the way up to the 100-year storm. Right now, I don't believe that there's an ordinance for detention ponds, but in the essence of making sure that everybody's safe, this is designed to reduce post-developed flows with all the houses and concrete, makes all that extra runoff. This will reduce it down to a pre-developed level as if nothing was ever there. So whatever flow comes there right now, we'll call it 100, we'll just say for the sake of this, 100 gallons per minute runs through there right now. We'll put all this here and 98 will run out of it when it's done.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense now. I wasn't understanding
Yes.
what its purpose was. but
Yes.
Now I'm starting to understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Are you familiar with the flooding we've had in this area?
A little bit. I've worked in DeSoto Parish at the beginning of my career. So I worked with North DeSoto Water System. I was with CGS Engineering. So I've been intimately associated with DeSoto Parish for a while in the beginning of my career. And so I have seen some of it. I don't live here. I live in Shreveport. So, I mean, if there's a crazy storm that comes in, I'm probably not hearing about it. But this particular area is quite different than I think a lot of places around DeSoto Parish because it is so hilly. And that actually helps us in terms of flooding because, that pond, it sits here, but those houses, by the time you get over there, are way up here. And so, that pond could fill up 10 times over and it would probably never get to those houses. Because what we don't want to do,
49 before it gets there.
yeah,
Say that one more time?
It would flood I-49 before it gets to there.
Well, I was looking at its location and trying to figure out all that. Yeah, I was trying to figure it out.
yes, and again, that's why we went through DOTD for this, not just because it's next to 49, but also their whole hydraulics division has had to look at my drainage impact study and what's going on with that to make sure that they're not about to get flooded within their, that ditch that runs along 49 right there.
Okay.
I don't think the DeSoto Parish even requires a drainage impact study. We did that out of our due diligence because we want it to work, not because y'all require it. And if it's good enough for DOTD, they have a lot more rules and regulation than the parish does, so.
It's not in our current regulations, but it is being worked on as far as impact
Yeah.
studies. And
That's good.
it's coming. Mr. Raster, did you have another question about the utilities and the placement of the right-of-way, or?
Yeah, I discussed that a little bit before the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you just review where the placement of the water lines and sewer lines will be located and what some of the reason that we discussed prior to the meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna have water and sewer that's gonna remain within the right-of-way. If you do see the construction plans, you'll notice that sewer is pretty deep. It's about anywhere between 8 to 12 feet deep. It's not terrible, but, you know, just based off the land, that's what we got. We do have a 10-foot utility servitude that runs in front of the lots. You know, that's in conjunction with that 30-foot building setback. You know, this serves a couple of purposes. One, if we have to do any construction, you got an extra 10 feet off that lot line. Because if you're gonna trench that 12 feet, you know, you're not just digging down 12 feet, you know, you're gonna have to pyramid stack it up. So we've got that there. You know, there's the 10-foot utility servitude. If there's any work that needs to be done in there, you know, that gives you the rights to do all that stuff. So that was in generalities, that's what it was. But to clarify what he was saying, water and sewer and drainage all remain within the right-of-way of this right now, so.
And that's something, you know, in the past we've discouraged, but this is subsurface drainage with no ditches. We'll have curb and gutter, and then you'll have, you know, basically lawn between the back of curb or sidewalks and so forth to the right-of-way line. So that is something to keep in mind as we're picturing this scenario. You know, typically we have an open channel ditch that's filling the rest of that remainder of that right-of-way, and we don't want these utilities in the bottom of our ditch that we have to maintain as a parish. But it's a little bit different in this
from
scenario.
what we've approved in the
Okay,
past.
yeah, and we knew that, we knew it would be a new,
How's the gas
project, and exciting.
Is it underground?
Yeah,
or-
absolutely. Well, you know what, open ditch is something that I don't ever really do. So, you know, I'm used to subsurface drainage, so, you know.
It's exciting, it's
Yeah.
gonna be beautiful.
Do you know where the electric will be, where it's planned right now? Is it underground or?
At this time, I do not know. John Charlo with SWEPCO is working on that for us right now. I believe it's gonna be poles though, right? I don't think there's any intent to run.
Yeah, we're going underground to the
Are we
neighborhood.
going underground?
Okay.
Yeah, in the front, along 3276, that might remain overhead like it is now. That's its potential, that goes underground, but within the neighborhood will definitely be underground.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that was electricity?
Yes, yes.
Okay. What about, I just saw something on the news the other day about, internet. Bossier had gotten some kind of special deal. What about the internet around here, y'all?
AT&T fiber.
Okay, so is it gonna
Underground.
stay the same, you think?
That's who we're under contract with, to provide fiber, to Davlin Park.
Okay, underground fiber,
Yeah, so do we fiber. AT&T's fastest internet
okay.
is, we signed up with them, with a commitment from them to provide, fiber optics to the entire, fiber, internet to the entire development.
And what's running down 3276, the electricity, what did y'all say? Somebody,
Oh, he's talking about the overhead poles that run in front of, you know, Marketplace Chevy. They've got all the,
Power.
yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
yeah, so those will have to.
But you, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just making sure it's going real fast.
Absolutely, no, please. If I'm
And,
talking too
My
fast.
thoughts are over here and we're talking over here.
Yeah, so those poles would stay. Those are primary transmission lines, though. So what they would end up most likely doing is running a secondary pole with a service drop and then running it underground. So those poles would remain, but those are primary transmission. So that's something entirely different than 12240 or 24480 that's running into a neighborhood. You know, that's probably carrying thousands of volts that run through that. And so that's a little different. Now, those poles will end up shifting a little bit. There's a DOTD project working in that area, so that's something for them to work through. But, yeah, those poles will stay.
We want them to go underground.
Yeah,
We encourage that. That's what we want to happen. They have made it almost not affordable, well, not affordable for us to be able to put it underground.
Okay,
And so we're hoping that they will change their mind. I'm hoping that maybe somebody from the parish can nudge them a little bit, but,
What is that
you know,
reason?
but we would like those to go underground and are even willing to help participate, but the numbers they were, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Why? Why?
Because they can.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that's simple. I mean, who else are we gonna call?
Well, they would have to, you know, it's quite a bit of work to run. They
Yeah.
already have service,
And like
going
John
there.
said, their transmission lines. So I understand there is some additional costs rather than what we normally put in a neighborhood, but we really want those to go underground there. Just for, again, you've heard the word beautification
Right.
throughout the entire process. And in my opinion, that takes away from the beautification. And so we're gonna continue to try to push and do what we can. And we would hope the parish would be on board with that as far as pushing any buttons they could push as well. Today,
okay.
seems to be, they've made it unaffordable.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for explaining that to me, because these are good questions that I've thought about, because my old office was right there, and I see those power lines. So that's why I'm so intrigued by these discussions about ditches and power lines, because you see it every day, and you just wonder why.
Yeah, for context, a place like Austin, Texas, you know, I did a corridor over there. That is all underground. So they run through 9 port duct banks that run, so these big old concrete boxes they put in the ground. Doing it now is something that I feel would be beneficial. When they wait until cobwebs of fiber and all those things get put in the ground, it becomes almost impossible to run any sort of underground duct bank systems. And what I mean by duct bank is just an encased structure so that you don't get wonky voltage running out into the earth. You know, it just insulates it. So like Jimbo was saying, I think it is in the best interest of SWEPCO to do that now, not only for the beautification, but for storm resiliency, because transmission lines are the first things to fall. So, yeah.
And I'm sorry if I'm boring everyone, but having my business down there too, it was impossible receiving cell phone calls, and the bank is right there, and to do internet on your phone, it's just, so I'm just excited to hear that that's not gonna be an issue in this area. So is it gonna affect, I'm just figuring it out how it's gonna work.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about like cell phone coverage and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, fiber's gonna be the best thing you can have out there. So, I mean, you know, I've got fiber at my home. It's faster than anything I've ever had. I would hope that somehow in the magic of the ether that the AT&T helps cell signal out there. You know, I think that's more the 5G tower type stuff that they've got over there. But I'm sure, to your point, that electrical transmission mains probably interfere with these wave frequencies that we run our internet through. So, you know, it wouldn't surprise me, like you're saying with your business, that that is an issue.
And at home.
But I'm not an electrical engineer, so yeah, I'm gonna put it in pavement on the ground.
There's currently not natural gas to that area either, but CenterPoint has agreed to run natural gas to that area as well. So any other future developments that come in that area will also be able to tie into that natural gas.
It's wonderful options.
Okay, so I have one more question. I know it moves forward into construction, but these cul-de-sacs were designed to accommodate school bus?
Yeah, so you have a 25.5-foot roadway interior radius with, I believe, 17.5 foot of an island in there. That should allow plenty of turn radius for a school bus. I usually I'll run turn exhibits on these, so I haven't experienced anything in any previous cul-de-sacs we've done. This is the same type of cul-de-sac we normally do. I haven't run into any issues with it, so.
I believe we'll have something in our regulations that stipulates
Size of the cul-de-sac?
80 foot or minimum. Or
Yeah,
something.
we don't have that center island, you know, that's something that, you know, that's a little bit different about this one. But, do you have any examples of where y'all done this one in the past?
I mean, not here in this one. Do you know of any cul-de-sacs that we've done around DeSoto? I don't.
With the center island?
Or even in Shreveport?
Oh, with the center island?
Yeah, center island cul-de-sac.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, subdivision I'm doing right now, Folia has a center island in it. I like them because I can put a fire hydrant in the center of it. It's nice to have it all, it's easy to construct if it's all pavement, but like this design with Emma's Way, you know, to get my fire radius, and not have to stick a hydrant on some person's property line, you know, on the one edge of a cul-de-sac, I can put it in the middle. And then it saves me a lot of hassle, saves firefighters a lot of hassle. It's right there. It's not, nobody's looking at it, you know, versus it's right next to your driveway. And so that's why I prefer the center islands, but, you know, this is more of a preference deal. You know, some people don't like them. I kind of like them. I think it keeps the travel path a little neater. But, you know, I'm sure there's somebody with a different philosophy than mine.
Plant a tree in it, looks good, again.
Yeah, look
Beautification,
camouflage.
right? Beautification.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know,
I'm just happy to hear that.
part of the night, you know. Yeah.
That's how Southern Trace's cul-de-sacs are.
Yeah, most cul-de-sacs that I've ever seen usually have that. I mean, very rarely do I see something that's, if it's old school, I don't really see a lot of center islands, but most modern cul-de-sacs I'm seeing have some sort of nice little grass center island there. You know, you put your signs in there, you can put some.
It's normally typical with a curb and gutter, I mean,
Yeah, you know, and it almost just makes sense. You know, you can keep your roadway nice and orderly. You know, nobody's really trying to do donuts in there because they have a, you know, have a 50-foot radius to, you know, do some wheelies in. So, you know, I like them for that reason. You know, I do like to direct flows of traffic in a way that leaves no confusion, you know, so.
I believe I read in your covenants, he's anticipating at least 1,200 square foot homes. Is that correct?
Minimum.
That's the minimum per the covenants, but they could be larger. We've never built a home that small.
They'll probably be bigger than that.
Right, they'll probably be bigger, but that just gives us some flexibility in the covenants just in case, but.
You're welcome.
If anybody doesn't have any more questions, or,
I got just a
Oh, I'm
couple of minor things.
come on, Mr. Tom.
If our subdivision regs require a 60-foot radius cul-de-sac, and they're gonna do a 55, is that something we should, this body should grant a variance for?
Thought our minimum was 80 foot.
I did not review the construction plans in that great of a detail yet,
Okay.
so, yeah. Yeah,
Well,
as
I'm
long as
just
we have
saying
the-
it's on the plat.
Yeah,
I thought we weren't doing variances.
The other things are pretty minor that I wanted to mention. At 3276 in Buchanan, there's an existing servitude, and they mentioned the book and page there. As you go north, Buchanan Boulevard is also within a servitude that's recorded. And I would like to see that book and page added to that section prior to the plat being recorded. Another thing was in the covenants, there's a mention of lots 1003 and 1004 under Article 6, Section 1. However, it does not mention lots 1001 and 1002. Should those have been included in that same paragraph?
Are those the,
That's the streets.
so, no, those are gonna be properly owned by me. Since I'm the one paying for the road. And that way, the HOA can't say, oh, yeah, we'll let you, we'll let you go ahead and put an entrance there. Those funds will have already been paid by our company, and so we wanna retain ownership of those, because we will have been the one to spend the money.
All right, and the staff would like to have, if possible, has the phasing been decided on yet? Exactly where the units will, has all that been planned out yet?
You
Not just-
I would say yeah, I would say we've looked at it from just a very broad sense, but nothing has
Okay.
been ever set in stone on that.
The reason for the uncertainty or the unclarity is, we're not in a great housing market, for those that don't. I mean, it's not good right now. It hadn't been good for a while. And so some of this kind of depends on how the market shifts in the coming years. Obviously, if we go in and sell 42 houses or 47 houses in the next 6 months, then we're gonna be in a rush to get going and probably do bigger units. But for right now, it's not a good market out there, just being honest with you guys. I mean, it's tight. And, things that we were doing to sell houses in the last 3 years are not working anymore. And everybody's sitting until the election and everybody's sitting until next year. And while the Fed rate has come down, mortgage rates have actually increased. And so that's not a good environment. It's not a good environment for that type of industry. And so that's the reason for, we're gonna put in 47 and we're gonna wait and see what happens after that, We're gonna see what the absorption rates are, to be honest with you.
Okay. I was gonna request a master plan with the phasing, if that was something that had gone through the planning. However, if y'all don't have something,
I'm extremely uncomfortable with that at this time.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it's not solidified at this point, then we'll certainly wait. But we would like to get a good master plan.
Most definitely, and we can definitely do that.
Okay.
Again, we watch the market every day, and who would have thought Fed rates drop and mortgage rates are back where they were, just, but that's where we're at, so.
That's all I have, Phil.
Thank you, Tom. So if there's not any more questions, sorry, I had to go back. We're at preliminary approval for Unit 1. So I'll call for a vote.
So I was unclear of
To discuss
foot,
they
or
did.
we asking them to,
Yeah, I am too. Is that
I mean, it's a whole lot easier for them to do it right now
Right, that's
than
right.
them
And we want,
wait and then have to come back and have to come back and
we
have to
want to
come back.
conform with whatever's required.
And that's kind of why I brought it up, is right now it's on there, but I hadn't seen construction.
No, I understand the different ratings. What is the 60 foot? Is that
What page?
The parish currently requires 60 feet, of 60-foot radius.
And that's for buses, fire trucks, et cetera.
You're talking about the right of way or the cul-de-sac itself?
The right of way, the actual,
I guess I
We're
was
talking about the cul-de-sac.
I was
talking about
talking
the
about the
cul-de-sac.
cul-de-sac.
oh,
The 55-foot cul-de-sac.
that's the radius to the right of way line, not the edge of the pavement. And we require 60
To the edge of the pavement?
to the edge of the right of way line.
The way I'm reading it, is that 55 to the curb? On Emma's Way?
That's what it shows on the map.
It's 55 from the center to the right of
To
way,
the right of way.
yeah, to edge of the right of way. You have 42 from center to outside of curb, I believe, back of curb,
Yeah, I want to say it was 25 and a half feet.
and
the roadway,
and then 17 in the
17
island.
and a half, I believe, something like that. 17, back of curb.
The only thing I see getting pretty tight right there is, as long as there's not too much parking in the cul-de-sac, the utilities might get a little tight coming. You only have 12 foot of right-of-way for utilities through there. Yeah, that's the only thing that's getting a little snug coming around with that smaller
Yeah,
right-of-way.
I was asking before, if they done an auto turn for a school bus, whether they can make it.
You have 17 feet on the tangent sections, and through those cul-de-sacs, you'll have 12 feet from back of curb to edge of right-of-way. So, my biggest concern almost would be the utility space in there. But you do have the utility servitude for 10 more feet, but
Yeah, and that's something too that, I think there's kind of two statements within that. One being the bus. I believe at this time, based off of running auto turns, that this does work, but the 17 foot for the interior island, doesn't mean that it can't shrink down. We can make that thing 30 feet interior roadway if we need to. That would allow for both parking if somebody was trying to, get up on the side of it or something like that. People do wild things, but that could be a concession there.
So
Now,
this is-
the 12.5
this is
foot,
what they mean.
that one is, if you look at the construction plans, I understand the 12.5 feet's a little tight, but it's not like we have a whole bunch of stuff wrapping and cording around that. We've got that sewer manhole that's running through the easement. We've got the water line that stubs up to it. So
We need gas, electric, and AT&T would be the ones wrapping probably.
yeah, and when John Charlo sends us back that information, SWEPCO's going to tell us if there's anywhere that we need to shift or juke and jive something a little bit to make sure that if they're putting some like PCB boxes down or anything like that. I just ran through this in Bossier with them. They asked me to shift an alleyway over 1 foot. So that type of stuff is a work that will happen over time while he's looking at that before we send anything out to construction. So some of these things we can't really nail down in stone right now.
That answers my question.
Yep.
Are you okay with 55 feet, or you want to amend it to 60?
That's gonna be up to y'all. Y'all are the ones
If
that gotta
it's-
maintain it.
If it's in our regulation at 60, we can't
Wait, what is it?
do a variance. We gotta be 60, huh?
It's not, yeah, we're
Okay, so that's actually, Tom was just explaining it, and it's, we have extra actually, right?
it's
The
under
way that
10.
it's-
Yeah,
Right.
I think we have something more extreme.
But if they put that tree though, which I love the tree, but that's my question.
So in the past, the way that Steve's always handled these cul-de-sacs is that he thinks that our regulations he had always thought that our regulations were too much. Because whenever you have these little short cul-de-sacs like this, with it not being used, it's better when they're used versus when they're not used. Like it helps maintain the cul-de-sac when they're used more. So he preferred smaller cul-de-sacs, but this one meets our regulations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it says 80 feet and 100 feet, and
Yeah,
the
100
actual regulation, that's what we have, in a very
well,
extreme.
I'd like to explain that.
Yeah.
Steve had always liked to get 60-foot right-of-way, from center to edge of right-of-way. However, the regs as we use today state that all cul-de-sacs shall have on the closed and a turnaround of at least 80 feet. Now, that means from edge of pavement to edge of,
Yeah.
and then it says
Yeah, I've got
the right-of-way diameter at least 100 feet. So again, if you measure from the edge of right-of-way due west to the edge of right-of-way, they're saying you should have 100 feet. That equates to 50. So this conversation is really for naught.
No, it's good to understand.
Yeah.
It's good.
No, I mean, there's no need
Yeah.
to talk
This
about a
exceeds-
variance.
We have
This
110.
exceeds our regulations.
Yeah. Now don't go and reduce it.
Oh, man. All right, let me scratch that off my list.
All right, we're not putting the tree.
But what about the, what Michael was saying about the, 12-foot and 10-foot? Does that meet the servitude? Does that meet?
Yeah, as long as we can get the utilities in without being on top of the drainage structures and so forth like that, I believe we'll have a certain setback from the back of curb on all utilities, I would assume.
Building
We're not
setback?
gonna, just set, we're not gonna put the AT&T line 2 feet off the back of curb, under the sidewalk, so to speak, I wouldn't think.
Are we talking about building setback?
No,
line?
no,
we're
just,
talking
I
util-
use that term just loosely, just how far the utility's gonna be off the back of curb, so to speak,
And also keep in mind, we have that 10-foot utility.
yeah.
So we really have 22.5 feet they can work in.
So that's not in here, or subdivision
No.
regulations? That's to do with the utility company? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Not that I remember.
I'm sorry?
Not that I remember.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I missed a couple months.
Okay, so any more discussion?
The staff would like to recommend approval of the preliminary with the contingent upon the few minor items that we mentioned, having them added to the plat.
And that was, just to clarify, you just wanted that extra servitude, the book and page added? Was there anything else that I missed?
I think you clarified.
Book and
one.
page and the extending the servitudes through lot 1004.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, where we going next?
Well, I'm gonna ask Miss Brittany to read that so we can have a vote if she's got that.
Well, I would recommend that someone, recommend for approval, make an alternate motion to recommend for approval, contingent upon, them extending the drainage and sewer servitudes through lot 1004 and add the book and page numbers.
I move to, for an alternate, alternate decision.
You have a motion for the alternate.
I have a motion. I'm sorry, say that again. This is my, say that.
That again.
Okay. I move for an alternate approval. Oh, I know that part, but how do I start it?
So you recommend, and then start here.
Okay.
And
Recommend an alternate motion that to approve this so long as the company adds that book and page number as requested, as well as that servitude through unit lot number
Lot 1004.
1004.
So we have an alternate motion. I second. Aye.
Aye.
Votes unanimous.
Mr. Brian Davlin, I think you meant to verbally abstain.
Oh, yes, I think you did. I agree. Thank you, Brittany.
I think I heard him.
Did you verbally abstain? Okay, thank you.
Good point.
Okay, we'll move on to item 3.
Thank you, everyone.
Discuss- Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank y'all.
Discuss and take action on planning commissioners training resolution. As most of you know, it's required through the state that all planning commissioners be certified or have the 4-hour training. We have talked about this before. They were gonna send us all. So in your packet, you have the resolution where myself and Mr. Roster attended. I won't read that. Y'all can read it so we can have a vote.
And what this is, Philip and I attended the planning conference in Baton Rouge a couple weeks ago, and they recommended that we actually put this resolution in the minutes, just so it's recorded that when each person gets their training, but it's kept in the record, and that's all this is serving as, is to put this in the record that Mr. Phillip has his training and so forth. They pointed out that if we were ever get sued and so forth like that, that they might could say you're not an official commissioner if you don't have your training and so forth like that. So, I don't know if it ever get to that point, but you know, there's something they threw out there. And, I got a few more comments about the training when you finish up the motion.
Do Do I need a
I would move,
motion to discuss this, Cindy, or are we gonna?
I mean, you're just putting the resolution
Yeah.
in the record, is all you're doing.
All it is voting on this
Yeah, yeah,
resolution.
saying that Philip got his training.
I got education.
aye. Yea or nay to the resolution? Okay.
But related to everybody else getting training, Miss Brittany reached out to Villavaso, a consultant that, you know, worked on some of our zoning ordinances and so forth in the past, and it actually, I think, conducted a training up here years ago. Cost us $4,000 to get them to come up here and conduct a training, so I've also reached out to Stonewall to see if they wanna jump in with us, since it's gonna cost that much money, put up a little bit of the money. Mansfield being invited as well, if y'all are good with that. And then it's probably, I'm thinking it's too close to the end of the year to get everybody together for 4 hours of training, so we'll probably just push it off till next year. I don't think everybody probably has time with Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up to try to get something in this year. Would, y'all have any recommendations on when we ought to shoot for?
End of January for me, but
Okay.
that's just.
I can't do the week of January 27th.
What type
I
of
could
days
do-
work for 4 hours for y'all? I mean, it's weeknights, weekends, Saturdays, I mean, what, should we try to do like something?
Again, it's 4 hours and it's mandatory.
I
I mean,
think
you
a
have
week-
to have it.
I'd be okay with the weekend. I'd rather do a weekend than take off work and be here during the day. But I'll make what works for everybody else.
I can clear that up right now, it don't make me no difference.
Oh,
I'm flexible. I can make it work, whatever.
All right, we'll see.
Um,
I'm easy.
We'll have to,
After the New Year's, we'll kind of poll everybody, send out, maybe do one of those fancy invites through where everybody can tell us whenever they're busy and so forth like that, and see if we can get everybody on the same, you know, same
Do a
time
survey.
frame and so forth like that, but.
but end of January, but maybe not that last week, but the week before, like the week before the end, like the second week before the end of January is what we're thinking, right?
I'm going
Or
to the 21st.
third week,
21st.
I'm sorry?
Time after that, I'm free.
What?
Brian's gonna be out to the 21st.
You're gonna be out until the 21st? Okay, so it'd have to be between the 21st and the 27th?
you click the calendar,
For me, I mean, but I'm good.
So is it possible to
you are good.
entertain,
click that
the week after
time and date. that calendar.
Valentine's Day in February?
Oh,
Is that something doable for?
I don't have my February calendar with
Do
me.
we have
I
another?
don't, no, for my.
That's an
jury
annual
trial.
meeting
Oh,
that they'll
your
have.
planner,
So
your
it'll
work
be coming
planner?
up this time
Yes, sir.
next year.
Cause when it's the jury,
I just looked up, Brittany's going through a calendar right now.
I only know through January, we haven't set anything for, February yet.
I was, I mean, January is fine, but
I just don't
I
know
was just throwing
tonight.
something out there.
Yeah.
I think the sooner the better for all y'all.
Well, we gotta reach out to the trainer and see when he's
Right,
available as
that
well.
was my next comment is their availability too,
And
so.
to get all the rest of them, Mansfield,
Yeah, yeah.
Stonewall.
And I'm sure we won't, we'll make y'all the priority and we'll get as many of them as we can, I'm sure there's gonna be some people have conflicts for sure. But in this training time, Philip and I sat through it, it kinda gave the history of what planning is and, recap some of the laws and so forth associated with it, what are, we were down there with everybody in the state of Louisiana, so almost everybody has zoning, so a lot of the conversations around zoning, they'll be able to customize it to us and take all that out of the equation and kind of focus on what we do here. Because a lot of that conversation with zoning and stuff just didn't apply to us and so forth. But, we
That
can,
might bring it down to 3 hours and 15 minutes.
yeah.
No metropolitan
Yeah.
plan in here.
But it was interesting.
There were some down in Baton Rouge, metropolitan planners.
That planning conference was very eye-opening for me. I thought it was pretty interesting, on one hand, I joked with them. I said, as an engineer, I said, I never knew people could get awards for not doing anything. I said, all you gotta do is come up with a plan and you get an award. I said, you didn't have to build anything. But no, it was interesting to see what all they do and how that, all these big cities and big parishes, they all have a planning group that does nothing. They have all staff just for planning and coming up with, strategic plans and comprehensive plans and so forth like that. And we'd also, had me very interested in looking out to grant money. Looking at some of these $100,000, $150,000 grants for comprehensive plans and strategic plans and so forth that by law, it says we're supposed to have, and we don't have, and so some things we might, on the horizon for next year, hopefully, if we can get some of that money coming in, hire some consultants to come sit with us, the jury and the public and so forth, and help us develop some plans and so forth of what we need to do for economic growth, what we need to do for ordinances and things like that.
Okay, so, for the record, so I don't get in trouble, so as a result of the resolution was 5 yeas, no nays, and the resolution was declared adopted on the 21st day of November, 2024.
Nice.
So, item 4,
You wanna put it to a vote? There was a motion and a second, but did
We
y'all?
voted.
They did vote?
They
I
got
thought we all said
unanimous.
yay.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I missed.
yeah, I had it 5-0.
Alrighty, thank you.
Motion passed, vote passed, whatever. Item 4 is, there's been some talk, we're just throwing something here for discussion of possibly changing our meeting time. We seem to have issues with all committee members being here. That's understandable. We would like to entertain the idea. Is it better to move it up to like 3, or is that impossible? Would the 4 o'clock time benefit everyone better?
Well, I was talking to Brittany earlier, now that so with my new job, I had a certain schedule, but then this year I got a different position, so I didn't know my schedule, so I can't do every second Thursday anymore. Like when we first started planning meetings the second Thursday of every month, I was available, but with my new job, my schedule changes. And I don't know how everybody else feels about that. And I know Brittany said it's hard to get everybody here when we have a set day to be here. But once I didn't bring my calendar today but anyway, I can bring it next time or email it to y'all. But when I have a jury trial that week, I won't be available.
Well, we understand that. I mean, all of us have prior obligations at each time, but we were just entertaining, do you think it'd be possible for this to change it from 5 o'clock to earlier?
Fine with that.
I'm good with earlier.
I am too.
Me too. I prefer it.
Out here at 6:30.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of bigger cities, Shreveport, they have theirs during the day, and of course, everybody's working there, but most of us have jobs.
Yeah. Lunch?
That sounds like a pretty good idea.
Lunch sounds good to me too.
Hey, if that is, I would say on the table, if we can fill these chairs and have everybody here, we can do it.
We'll just have them amend that in the budget, I
That's
think.
About to be some
Where'd the
great money
administrator go?
for you.
He already gone, trust me.
Okay, so,
Well, if we did lunchtime, do we have an end time? Because having it at night, we don't really have an end time. Would it be like this, or would we be like 12 to 1, 12 to 1:30, 12
It
to
takes as long as.
You'd have to go through the agenda, whatever's on the.
yeah, I mean, our agendas,
Okay.
you know, we knew tonight that one item was gonna be a hefty discussion, so you can't really put a time
Okay. I'm
here
just
to say
asking.
we're gonna be here 1 hour or an hour and a half.
I say let's move it to 3 o'clock and see how that works for everybody. Is that good with you getting off, or? I mean,
I'm
how
off
about y'all?
every day,
I mean,
but
I don't know what y'all.
I can do earlier. But yeah, I'm okay. I think we should try that.
Are we discussing it or making?
We're just discussing.
Just
So if
discussing,
you've got a
okay.
recommendation for 3 o'clock, we're gonna take that recommendation. And is there there's no way that we could change the date that we meet on? Huh?
That's up to y'all as well. If y'all would prefer to meet on a different day of the week, that's purely up to y'all. But my only request as the staff who prepares the agendas and such is that it's the same day every month and that it's not jumping all around.
Well, I mean, we can't just say we're moving it up another week because people that are building and developing know when an item needs to be in to go on the agenda. So I think just changing the time might be our best bet right now instead of trying to change.
And and what I can do is I can start being more proactive if I'm not gonna be available, or whoever isn't available, maybe there's some kind of remedy, I don't know, so we didn't miss the whole meeting.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this a lot. I was entertained at one time, maybe reaching out to all committee members and ask them to, you know, please commit to your commitment to serving this body. But we all have commitments. We all got things that's gonna come up. But we do need to commit to this parish and do what we volunteered here to do and show up and have a full committee. Well, we got 9. I think we lost 1, so we got 8.
Yes.
So if y'all know anybody that would be a good candidate, what's the name? Miss
Miss
Brown?
the one
Bonita
that they elected, I don't think
She
she
never
showed
has
up for
been here.
one, but
She had some health
Elected, never
issues
came.
and sent her official resignation last week.
I just learned that before the meeting, so I didn't know. But
The jurors need some good input
I mean,
on,
does it matter where, like, what part of the parish? Just-
no, if you have a recommendation of somebody that would commit to serving and
yeah, just reach out to your juror and let them know a recommendation if you have somebody, because they'll have to present it in the jury meeting to replace Miss Brown.
yeah, I mean, it has to come from a juror to recommend who to put on there, so.
I got a guy asking me the other day, how did he get on it? So
Oh, good.
I'll tell him to contact, Robbie. He can go from there.
With that, we will entertain a 3:00 meeting date.
Yeah, y'all have to think about it, and we'll put it on the agenda for next month, and we can vote it in official then, if
Right.
that sounds good with
This is
everybody.
just discussion, so we'll entertain
There
that.
we're thinking.
It would be
It'll
the
still
same
be
day, it
Thursday.
would just move up
Uh.
to 3:00 instead of 5:00. So the second Thursday of every month,
Oh, the second, third.
but instead of 5:00, it would be 3:00.
Second Thursday.
Unless y'all decide to change the day.
December the 12th.
Yes, the next meeting would be December the 12th.
Do we need to get the jury's blessing to change?
At 3 PM or at 5 PM? 3?
Three, right?
I thought we were
The
voting.
next one will be at 5:00. That is where the vote will be.
Okay.
Then we'll vote on
And
doing
if
3
y'all
o'clock.
vote 3:00, then the January meeting.
But
would be-
December 12th is still
Can I
at
get my
5
phone out of my
PM.
car real quick, just to make sure? I'm right here.
Can we not have it at 3 or?
I mean, y'all could, I guess, vote on it today.
I mean,
I mean, not vote on it, I mean, 'cause
Yeah.
we didn't vote on to have it at 5 today, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was,
well, yeah,
Oh,
well,
that's-
okay, so
It's already set that we have it at 5.
oh, okay.
So we'll put it on the agenda for December the 12th to vote on starting our meeting at 3 o'clock
All right, perfect.
in January. The only other item, I believe, instead of having a workshop tonight, our staff is working diligently and bless his heart.
We'll send an email out next week to all the members and let you have a chance to review what I've worked on so far with the subdivision regulation.
Give us time to read it, absorb it.
Yeah. The new information that's been added to it since the last time we spoke is all that major minor subdivision, where basically it's a minor subdivisions, 5 acres and less, can be approved by the staff and so forth. Anything else will come before y'all, and kind of just lining out that end of the policy.
5 lots or less.
What'd I say?
5 acres.
Oh, five lots or less, yes, and so forth like that. But you know, some of that type language. So, and if we're getting to the point where formatting and proper language, you know, I've been working on content. We're getting to the point where we need someone to format and legalize it, and then legalese and you know, whatever you want to call it, and get it formal.
Yeah, we
But,
still have to have it,
I might,
that through legal staff.
might reach out to, you know, I've even talked to Mr. Jonathan. He wrote a regulation for one of the, for Shreveport or Bossier, I can't remember who it was, but if we get too bogged down with this, might just turn it over to someone like himself. Would y'all be opposed to that if I reach out to someone to help us finish the final draft?
Absolutely not.
But, you get this done?
Yeah.
Rayleigh guy
Okay.
with the glasses?
Yeah,
Okay. That, his name's Jonathan?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Ratcliffe.
Ratcliffe.
Ratcliffe? Okay.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
that'd be
that,
fine with
just a possible option, so, just so we can get this thing off high center and get done with it.
Was he with Rayleigh?
Yeah, Rayleigh and Associates, yeah.
All right,
Talks
so
fast.
if there's nothing for, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I can do that.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We adjourn. Thank you.
Checks in the mail?
Yep,
Thank you.
wait for it.
Hey, Philip actually asked if y'all could get paid to come to these meetings the other day.
Yeah, I tried that.
Did you really?
You know, it's actually in the state law. And
That
it
you can
says-
or cannot?
It says you cannot get paid, and then as soon as it says you cannot get paid, except for in this parish you can, except for in this parish you can, except for this parish you can, and it does
It has-
three pages of that.
It has to go through state legislative to approve it. I even tried to get, hey, Brian, he even tried to get per diem, just to get fuel costs, but anyway, like I said, we volunteer our time and our time, and we thank you. You've done good, Mr. Dunham. I don't know what you